This is part of a series of transmissions from the Lost Land. My name's Comrade in Lost Land. You are home. And I was drawn, compelled even to come here, set up the whole setup, and record a series of these transmissions using my tarot cards. And I'd been called to it for such a long time. And there's something in you that is being called to do that thing that you're for some reason terrified of. And it can be for any number of reasons, right? But I think it all comes down to the core of a sense of being stifled, a sense of being trapped, a sense of not being enough to achieve those things in life that you need, those things in life that you need, for as long as you know, there's this feeling that like this, normal life and the whole path, the whole conveyor belt. And there's nothing against that. If that's what makes you happy, then fantastic. But obviously, that's not why you're here. I've been getting these downloads, these messages, these channels in a period of my life right now where I guess you could call it the Negredo stage in alchemy, where things fall apart, where your identity gets essentially fragmented and shattered beyond what it was already. And you're sort of sitting in the middle of that chaos. Myself personally, I've been, into the Lost Land quite a few times in my life. I moved around a lot, never really had a stable place to call home for too long, child of divorce, and because of the culture that I come from in Lebanon, it's not a particularly amicable thing. And unfortunately, with parents, you see them as perfect beings. And I think that illusion was shattered for me very early on. Of course, we're all still children in adult bodies, but you never really grow up, not until you do the inner child healing and you do the shadow work and you do all of these buzzwords, right? So I was drawn to come and do this series of transmissions from the Lost Land for you, from my experiences and the light codes and the data that I'm picking up as I explore. I didn't really have a structure for this. I didn't know how I wanted to approach it. But as I was shuffling, I had these three cards from my Wild Alchemy Lab Oracle deck. It's kind of an Oracle deck, but it's not. It's got recipes in there for herbal remedies and different, tinctures and tonics. And it's I bought this in Bristol during I guess you could say a pilgrimage. I went to the UK just over the New Year for a friend's wedding, and to see some family that I had there and stuff. And I was drawn to Bristol. And if you're into astrocartography, I had a Pluto in my IC there, and out of all the cities I could have gone to in that area, landed in Bristol and walked into this small shop near Central, and they're just like selling like little curios and whatnot. And I got this deck of cards that just called to me. I've laid them out in the Tria Prima spread, according to alchemy. Essentially, it's let me tell you what the Tria Period spread is, and I forgot. I'm not gonna lie. Fucking processing and learning a lot right now. Hey. All right, I found it. So the Trio Prima spreads 3 cards. The first one is sulfur, the second one is mercury, and the third is salt, representing soul, spirit, and body. The first position, the soul, is the essence or origin of a situation and the igniting influence. And in that position, we've got lime blossom honey. That's the recipe. The card is the common lime. Come on, there you go. The as you see, the symbols on it are air, Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, and Moon in Libra and Taurus. It's a drink that you make to encourage relaxation, disperses excess heat. It's a mild sedative, relaxant, and nervine. Common lime is known as a tree of love and luck and is a symbol of fidelity and fertility. You're currently in a place of, I don't know if betrayal is the right word, but let's just say that. You're trying to build a life with people who you loved and people who you know loved you, but maybe because of their own wounding and their own journeys, they didn't see the light that you brought into the situation, into the partnership, into the environment. And recently, something must have happened that has destroyed that, the Negredo phase, right? For this to clarify, I pulled the Four of Swords. Four of Swords is sickness. You're stuck somewhere. This is from the Tarot of Light and Shadow. I bookmarked the page here for you. In the light card, the light reading, take a look at these. Come on now. There you go. Remember, an adjoining card may show light reading. I'm sick and tired. Yeah, you got to a point where it represents being sick and tired of a situation of being stuck and like stuck in a position where you feel like that's it, like you're done. It's the end of you. And this was a partnership, a relationship, a friendship, a work situation that had gotten to a point that it had left you sick, like a shell of who you are. Like it had taken from you, and you didn't realize, and you got to a point where you were sick, like ill. It could have been physically, it could be mentally, it could be spiritually, and you got to a point where you were disgusted with the situation. And in this descent into the lost land, for me, that's exactly what it got to. So, and these transmissions, I know they're for me as much as they are for you. So we're going through this together, you know, in our own way. The plots are unique to you, but the energy is the same, right? I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be here. The shadow side of this, the deeper, darker truth, usually has to do with you, your internal world, your shadow. The things maybe that you don't want to face is judgment. Now you know the judgment card, classic. It speaks of, the shadow side speaks of us thinking or believing that a very simple change or a very drastic decision is what gets us out of that situation. And it calls to the truth being a lot more subtle. To me, the image of the phoenix here is, it's sputtering, it's rising, but it's rising in a way that doesn't feel healthy. It's like it hasn't finished burning apart, right? And it's sort of like, all right, cool. This is exactly what I'm gonna do, and this is how I'm gonna get out of it, and and exactly what happened to me. And then I remembered, you know, that old adage, wherever you go, there you are. And that's really when the descent started, you know. It wasn't the house itself collapsing, as it were. It was all the damage and all the wreckage and all the rubble that it left behind, and then finding that the house itself, the way it was built, was not on proper foundation. It was not of the structure that would tolerate, you know, a storm, a hurricane, not a real one. So it was liable to fall apart and cause more damage, right? And I feel like this is the situation that you're coming from. I feel like this is the vibe, right? I got Nikes, channeling Nikes. The I don't wanna know if you blame me, keep it on the low. So you're finding out that after this, the house collapsed. That it was not always as it seemed, you know, and you're realizing there's certain patterns, maybe in the way that you approach relationships, the way that you approached. Maybe you're the type who you go into things with a spirit of love and a spirit of wanting to trust, but because you have been hurt, this goes to the people that you had a difficult childhood, probably more difficult than most, and you had a sense of shame, a sense of that you had to show up in a certain way in order to receive love, respect, and truth and loyalty. That you had to almost, I don't know, manipulate isn't the right word, but it's true. Like manipulating people into loving you and being loyal to you by you sort of overextending in a way, by you trying to give, and it's not from a place of actually wanting to. I'm sure a lot of the time it was, but the undercurrent of that is fear of abandonment. So you're trying to control the situation by becoming someone who is useful, emotionally useful. You're probably the rock for a lot of people. You're probably the support, the one with the wisdom, the one with the advice, the one with, you know, the one who was always willing to go to war for people and wanted to help them fix their situations. And I'm just getting, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. And that's something that I've been realizing a lot lately. And I've realized it in myself as well, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sure there were many people who wanted to help me who probably didn't understand and see what I really needed, because at the time I didn't really either. And so I wouldn't drink, no matter how much they would try to lead me to water. And look, sometimes that water is not clean, you know, sometimes that river isn't flowing, sometimes it's stagnant. And to drink from that, you probably get sicker. The second card, which is Mercury, in the Mercury position, the spirit position, is the present time potential for transformation. This is the second stage in the pre-material. Where are we? There we are. It's the Douglas fir. We've got Earth, Mercury, Sun, Jupiter, and Moon in Aries, and I believe that's Pisces or Gemini. I don't recognize the glyph. It looks a bit different. I'm not. Maybe one of you guys can tell me. Also, before I continue with this next bit, I discovered tarot recently. If you told me a year and a half ago that this is what I was going to be doing and I was going to be recording these transmissions and putting them out, I would have laughed in your face and called you a fucking hippie. But alas, here we are. So this is all very new to me, but when I picked it up, it felt natural. Like I'd done readings for friends, I'd done readings for some family members, like some strangers that I'd meet, and the looks on their faces said it all, to be honest with you. So I'm discovering, I guess, as part of this journey that like, this is one of my gifts. But anyway, I digress, as we were. In the spirit position, in the present time potential for transformation, this card represents, well, from this Douglas fir, the recipe is the fermented pine soda. Boosts the immune system, high in vitamin C. Pine treats colds, clears brain fog. I was just gonna say rehydrates. Maybe you fucking drink more water, A, but B, rehydrate. So you once had this spirit in you. You once had this this life force, this fire, and it was drained. And I know it's the opposite of water, right? It could also be your emotions, that you were filled with such a love for life, you were filled with such a love for the things that you love to do. Mental health might be a big thing, probably, major depressive disorder, some other mood disorders where you just had no more enjoyment. And it could be your environments, could have been your relationships. I'm getting that it was, definitely. The energetics of the fermented pine soda are awakening, uplifting, and charging. The flavor of the Douglas fir is deep and it's citrusy. Look, all right, full disclosure, I'm a smoker. I've been a smoker since I was 14 years old, so that's for more than half my life now. I picked up the habit as a coping mechanism, obviously, for what I was going through. And partly to feel cool, because my older cousin at the time smoked, and I was like, I wanted to, so it was partly a sense of belonging, and it turned into a habit of, when I'm stressed out, when I'm just have a cigarette. And this period of like the last 6 months, really, since I really entered the alchemical phase again, in a much grander scale, in a much more severe scale, I've essentially become a chain smoker, which is, look, you need to give yourself grace at the end of the day, right? I don't know, I could have gone in much worse directions with my history, with my upbringing. I could have gone in a way worse direction. But the Douglas fir and the fermented soda speak about, well, to me, it's about clearing. It's about looking at the relationships that you have, Venus, with certain habits, certain people, certain environments that at the time were probably adaptive, probably helped, probably, at least in your mind then, with the wounds that you had and the patterns that you had, were good for you. But ultimately they'd begun to get in a way and drain your spiritual energy, spiritual protection. I'm getting really, really, really big here. And whenever I'd hear readers or other intuitives say protect spiritual energy, I'm like, what, is that do I have to do sort of ritual, ooga booga wah wah? I don't like vagary, right? The way that I am, it's which is funny because I'm doing this and big part of it is vagary because this is a collective message. So I can't really grab one thing. I can grab certain bits of messages, but take what resonates, right? I'm realizing protecting your energy, protecting your spiritual energy, your emotional energy is sometimes as simple as not responding to that text. From that person who time and time and time again, even when you've expressed your boundaries, is draining, is still not seeing you for, one of the divine emanations of God, of source, of universe, and more what they can get from you. And it doesn't always have to be conscious, right? It's about starting to build that immune system within yourself to start putting that wall around your garden so you can start refreshing and getting your energy back. I'm getting walks in nature. I'm getting hikes, especially going to higher elevations for where you're normally at. I'm getting the air is clearer and there's less noise. So whatever had happened in the situation and in the current situation that you're going through is really causing you to have a look at what are the things that are dehydrating me? What are the things that are, and not only from the situation, because you could still be in the situation or the situation could have just ended and now you're sort of in this in-between period. Again, wherever you go, there you are, right? So that's what this is giving me. It's about looking at what parts of yourself or what parts of your life and what parts of your psyche and what, schema, sets of belief you have are stopping you from being able to heal and like protect yourself. Oh, okay. Too many, but I'll take it. Why not? We've got Knight of Cups. So because I am still but an apprentice in the esoteric arts, I really do go off feeling. I'm aware of, you know, the basics of what each of the suits represent. Like, it's bits and pieces of knowledge that I develop, but I try not to rely on the definitions that other systems have placed, because that's not necessarily what's going to get you through the lost land. Yes, you need knowledge, but it's when you can't get the details. It's when you don't know, when there's no one to tell you, is often I find where you get the truest answers. And I'm not saying don't take advice from people you trust, but learn to trust yourself, right? The Knight of Cups, I'm getting that there's the beginnings of maturation in your emotional world, in your emotional state. I get like a flowing energy. Like, emotions are still there and they're still heightened and they can be a bit intense, but to me there's this feeling of the beginnings of mastery. You know what I mean? There's a bit of a wildness to it, there's a bit of a brashness to it, there's a bit of an unpredictability to how you're feeling at any moment, but you're learning to master it and flow through it and sort of move with faith and with confidence, knowing that it is clearing out what it needs to clear out in order to start making room for the new structures, right? Then we get the Page of Cups as well to clarify that. We get the Ten of Serpents. Serpents is Pentacles. We've got the Five of Cups and we've got the Ten of Cups. This is a lot. I'm getting... There was a business, there was financial structures, there was relationships that you had that were tied to your material security, and the energies or the people or the environments that were tied to had this type of emotional immaturity with the Page of Cups, Ten of Serpents, right? Yeah. And the Five of Cups. And the Ten of Cups. When everything broke down, right? When you hit Negretto proper and you really started to go into it, you realized that you were putting your faith, your emotion, your heart, your care into something that wasn't necessarily matching that vibration. So something started to get built upon that materially that I heard, allowed yourself to become dependent on, which is something you're learning to clear out. There's a great deal of learning to grab that water and pour that into yourself, into your cup, in order to build something stable, solid, and sincere to you. You know, you could have made agreements and gone into situations and maybe moved in with people, or I don't know, got into a relationship or whatever it was, got a job that on the surface looked like it made sense, but you knew wasn't aligned because of the energies involved in it on the undercurrent, that when you went in and then everything fell apart, you looked back and you started to realize that shit, these were not clean waters for me. Doesn't mean that they were bad. It's just interesting. And this is all conscious. This is all happening on a conscious level. Like, you're realizing this now, right? You're realizing that there's nothing, it was not, they weren't necessarily villains, they weren't necessarily it wasn't stupidity on your part. It wasn't that the intention with those energies to begin with was malicious. It's just that, you know, the shadows crept up. The shadows crept up, and it, yeah, the Lovers. There was an agreement, a covenant with a person, with an energy, with, it feels one-to-one, right? It feels one-to-one connected, like one person, one thing, one energy, one place, one role, that what I'm getting is you felt like you're not enough to be that which you needed to be to reach the vision that your soul had. I'm getting like dreamed up, like imagined up before you incarnated, you know? And part of your soul contract is realizing that every time you try to find that stability, that security, that foundation in someone else or something else, whatever gets built upon it is tenuous at best and extremely fucking shaky, extremely shaky, because you're not going into it with a sense of knowing. You're not going into it with a sense of, I'm enough. Not I can do this, but it is already done. Because that is my will. And my will is the will of the universe, because I'm an emanation of the universe. This is how I really, really genuinely know inside me, right? And this is what's clearing out. And it can be not just, it's like this specific thing, specific person or partnership or job or business or whatever. It's not about them, right? It's about what that represents. And it's this feeling like you will not be able to reach that wholeness, that flow, that state of, fuck, I'm dehydrated. See? Without someone else saving me. That's a very, very dangerous place to be in, because then no decision you make is truly your own, right? And it's been coming quickly, like the way the cars is, like it's, you're learning and you're like, damn, ow, 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 ow. And these parts you were just burning away, burning away, burning away, and you're realizing all the ways that you abandon yourself when really all you needed was you. Like to reconnect with that quiet voice. I was praying yesterday. I was praying to my jiddo and my teta, my grandfather and grandmother. My grandmother passed just a few days ago, overseas in Lebanon. And I was praying to God, and I was, the channel was so clear. There was a sense of home. And look, complete disclosure, I'm in between everythings right now. I'm in between a living situation. I'm in between, career. I'm in between everything. Like, I'm not even certain that I'm gonna be in this city or let alone this country for much longer. So really, by all metrics, I should be completely freaking the fuck out. But it's because I've been able to work and foster this connection with the divine, foster this connection with my ancestors and the loved ones that have passed. I felt at home. I felt for, I don't want to say the first time, but it was one of the very, very rare moments in my life where I could sit in silence and be at peace. Do you know what I mean? Where I didn't feel the need to roam, to wander, to acquire, to learn, to do, to be, to create, to all this struggle, all this tension, this like, I am not enough where I am, this is not enough, I'm hollow. That disappeared. And like tears of peace, tears of laughter, tears of joy. All this to say that the happening that you're going through right now is not, it's not a failure. It's not you're not broken. This is something you're meant to understand, that it was you all along, and that's all you ever needed was you all along. And I know it's like corny, but like there's the semantic of that, right? It's like, oh, well, yeah, because like, no, like I felt where like even if the whole world is going to shit, your life around you, you don't know where the fuck you're gonna sleep tonight. Like you barely got any fucking money, like you're drowning. But somehow, some way, for some reason, there's this sense of peace. And I'm not talking about detachment. I'm not this like cold, like dissociation from your situation, right? That's a type of escape as well. But it's this feeling inside you that I'm gonna be all right. Like, I'm good. It's a weird equanimity. You're standing in the eye of the tornado, right? That's where it's at. That's when the path through the lost land starts to reveal itself, or the next steps start to. You're gonna get out of this. Take your time, heal, you know? Take your time. And the last card and take your time is ringing through my head right now. Rest. I made a new friend recently, and she was telling me like, rest. You need to rest. I'm like, I haven't been doing anything. I haven't really been working. I haven't really been, I've been a fucking vagabond. She's like, but you haven't been resting. And I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. You're probably someone who's either, I'm getting a migrant family. I'm getting a lot of wounds around wealth, a lot of wounds around money, around worthiness. This feeling of work. Do you know what I mean? For this, for a promise of the security. I'm not saying sit on your ass and do nothing, no, but it's just, even when you're not doing anything, you're like always wanting to get out of your seat. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a lack of safety. That's a lack of safety in your presence. It's a lack of safety in your body in this moment. There's, I'm getting the body keeps the score. There's probably a lot of, sympathetic nervous system arousal. Always. For me, that was the case. And then when it started to calm down, when I've been doing, learning to do the rest and heal. See, do the rest. I haven't even fully gotten it yet, right? Like, that's the thing. But my friend that I met said, you could be working. You could be doing anything. Rest it's a state of centeredness. It's a state of feeling of like, whatever you are doing, wherever you are in that moment, like that's where you ought to be. And I have a lot of shame around rest. My parents come from the Middle East, and they grew up during really trying times, and poverty was a big thing. And this work till you drop dead was a survival mechanism that they had to adapt, unfortunately, at that point in time. And obviously, if those traumas are not healed and those wounds are not, alchemized, then that gets passed on to the next generation. That's something that I took up. So I would work, but it was never came from a place of wanting to manifest a reality that I know should exist because it's in my heart, right? It's in my imagination. I can see it. It was more like, I need to survive. And everything was about survival. And now that I have nothing left, and where survival is really like, now it's survival, dude. Like, all the other times wasn't really that survival-y, but now it is. And it's like, I'm all right. I'm all right. Couple weeks, there's gonna be I'm getting 2 weeks. I'm getting a week to 2 weeks. A week to 2 weeks. This is going to shift in such a way that you're going to start seeing the world through new eyes. You know, that immune system's going to be back up. It's going to be online. You're going to be full. You're going to be hydrated. You're going to be plump. You're going to be like, oh, dude, there's actually so much opportunity for me right here. Even in the rubble, there's that rock there. And if I put it with that, and then that steel beam with that piece of timber, and you build like a fucking masterpiece out of it. And then someone comes along and is like, I'll buy that for $1 million. And you're like, these are just the pieces and the parts of my pain. Profiting from your pain. You have a story, you have a wealth of lessons that you can share, that light codes that you can use to heal people when you get to the point that you're able to express them and tell your story. You're not there yet, I know, but you're getting there. The last card in the Tria Prima spread is salt, representing the body, the pathway to grounding and integration of a new state. Primrose. It's associated with the element of Earth, Venus, and the moon in Libra and Aries. Here's how to make primrose champagne. Champagne too, right? Like luxury. Celebration. To celebrate a new start. Primrose is one of the first flowers of spring and signifies new beginnings, resurrection, and hope. I'm getting, and then actually with those to clarify, I drew the Knight of Serpents and the Magician. Remember how I said, far out. So I'm getting like realizations too now, like this is pertinent. It's profound. Remember how I said about making that work of art, or that statue from the rubble, and then someone sort of coming along and be like, I'll buy it for $1 million. There's a sense of, if you can learn, once you've created this sphere of protection around yourself, and you are protected, right? You are. This is all happening because you are protected. What's required from you though now is to cultivate this sense of protection from yourself. You know what I mean? The reason why that's necessary is, it's not protection because you're weak. It's protection because you know how valuable what you have is. And that thing that you have is this unique spark that only belongs to you. And it's a bright one. You know what I mean? And not because it's fragile or anything like that, but because it's valuable. It's your time, your life force, your essence, your thoughts, your you know what I mean? Your attention. Your being, and wherever it's emanating and shining onto is valuable. And as you do that, and as you realize that like this light that I have inside me is something that I need to nurture and protect from people who will not necessarily see its value, or do see its value and want it for themselves and want to abuse it. Because there are people out there that they can't see their own light, or their light has been so diminished that they've gotten used to siphoning it off someone else. When really, if they opened up and allowed theirs to shine, other lights would shine into it. But that's their journey. That's what we all have to do, you know? It's just, there's levels. There's levels to this shit. And look, every soul is equal. Every creation is equal in God's mind. It is. However, there are degrees of alignment. There are degrees of mastery. There are degrees of self-awareness. There are degrees of compassion, there are degrees of empathy, of grace, and not just for other people, but for yourself. Most importantly, otherwise, why would you come down as an individuated organism? that is separate from other individuated organisms, because you have to look after this first. You have to give the love and grace to this first, instead of always trying to find someone or something to justify your existence. Once you get there, all right, cool. I'm learning that I need to protect my energy now. I'm learning that I need to, have a higher standard for myself, from others, because I am enough and I came here complete. I didn't come here fragmented. Venus, beauty, art, to celebrate. Aesthetic is finding the beauty in the shit that you've gone through. And I'm not saying romanticize it like, and get dark about it, turn it into a tragedy. Think of it as the hero's journey. But the element's earth. It's something that you need to, if you need to go buy a bottle of like fucking cheap champagne, if you can't afford it, if you can't afford a Moet Chandon, whatever it is, and sit there and throw a little party for yourself. Fucking put a bit of music on. Shake that thing, bro. Shake that gap. You know what I mean? It's from the bottom of the deck for this one. Yeah. Don't be scared of starting again. Don't be scared of building again from nothing. The Ace of Serpents, the Ace of Pentacles. That's a beautiful thing. You have what you've been seeing as rubble, what you've been seeing as a life that's destroyed and has no meaning, has been a waste, is actually the pieces that you're going to be able to build your magnum opus upon, to build your great work upon. And it doesn't have to be an art. It can be, literature. It can be, it just has, all it needs to be is a tangible or a physical manifestation of the beauty that you were able to create from the rubble. Moon in Libra, Moon in Aries. Taking pride in it. Taking pride in like the hurt. Taking pride in the things inside you. This feeling of, I have to start from fucking nothing again. It's not nothing. You're a new game plus. This is important. You have to realize this. Everything that happened before this was not an accident. And it wasn't a waste. And you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. You're a slingshot. Yeah. Something that other people can experience. Something that other people can hear from. It can even be like doing readings like this. It can be anything. But you know what it is. It's unique to you. It can be cooking, but it's a way of taking what you've been through and transmuting it, right? But I keep going, my eyes keep being drawn to the earth element. It needs to be manifest, like it needs to be brought here. You need to bring it here. That's your duty. Not to anyone, to you. And the reason why it's a duty to you is because you need to put it out there for everyone. To reflect back to yourself through the world that, fuck, I matter. Like what I've been through matters. This life is one of the drops in the panacea that heals our species, bro. Confirmation junkie shouting behind me. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. I want to draw just one more card from my Sacred Symbols Oracle deck, because I feel like this is going to be the last, I don't know, like some key. You know how like other readers are like, oh, the bottom of the deck card, let's say. But I don't know, I'm getting a different vibe from it. This one feels like a very like serious, overarching thing. You know what I mean? I don't know if serious is the right word. Big. We're not going to go through the rest of them. Divinity. The 7-pointed star. Oh, where are you? Number 20. Let's consult. What I get from this is like a tap. You tapped in. What you are in right now is divinity. This is it. This path is divine. You're probably realizing that you're probably getting weird synchronicities. You're probably starting to see, I don't know, I looked here and it looks like an 8. Probably seeing 8s, 6s, 20s, 2020, 17, 70, 7s, 14, 5. This path that you're on right now, this is it. This is the lost land. This is what you're in. Like, this is that journey. Drawing this card invites you to proceed with love over fear. No matter what your situation or relation, proceed only from a place of unconditional love, reverence, and understanding. You're not being punished. This is for you. It's filled with choices. This life is filled with choices. Make the ones that respect all involved, including yourself. Including yourself. Especially yourself. Meditate on the symbol of the heptagram when you want to connect with the unseen elemental beings for support. The heptagram is, or otherwise known as the fairy star, represents the world of the fairies. It's as important as the number 7 is in various spiritual traditions in the world. Number 7. A week to 2 weeks from now. A bridge or portal to fate element. Yeah, this is something, you're coming into a power, you're coming into a strength. You're probably a spiritual person, you're probably, practicing the esoteric. Yeah. The meek shall inherit the earth. The meek in the traditional sense of the word. He who knows how to wield the sword and chooses to keep it sheathed. You have this power, right, to effect great change within yourself. Within yourself. Because it's more about you. Be very careful what you put into yourself. Are you going to look at everything that's happened as a complete failure, a complete destruction, and a moral judgment on you as a being? Like that you suck, that you're not enough? Or are you going to see it as part of the hero's journey? Are you going to see it as, I've been blessed, I've been equipped with these lessons, with these wounds, because I'm the only one in my unique, idiosyncratic way going to make something out of this. It's not going to only transform my life, but as I transform my life, I'm an example to those who look at me. My gold teeth just fell out. It's confirmation. Or throat chakra healing, stumbling on my words and shit. That's been very important for me. Libra and Mercury, baby. Sometimes it can be hard for me to just be fucking boom, I want to consider people's, I want to be diplomatic, but sometimes it's not about being diplomatic. Sometimes you just got to be like, fuck, You got this. 7 days to 2 weeks. Protect your energy. What happened wasn't an accident. You're not a shit person. No one here involved is necessarily shit. They might be. But that's not your concern. That's not what you need to think about. Don't worry about that. It's irrelevant. Who are you going to give your energy to from now on? Who are you going to give your love to from now on? Who are you going to give your care, your time? You. And be selective about who comes into that. Don't, lower to their vibration or to their mindset just because you want to be alone, because you don't think you're enough. Like, grow up. I say that with love, but grow up. You're a whole person now. You always have been, but now you're a whole ass person. And you've been through this shit and you survived it. All right. Make beauty out of it. Are you down? Are you dead? Celebrate. Celebrate that you've been put back on open road and you're equipped. You know how to navigate. You've got everything you need. Just don't be afraid. And I know it's so hard, but not saying don't be afraid as in have the absence of fear, but have love that overwhelms it. Again, look, spiritual protection, spiritual cleansing, have those boundaries. If you need to pray, pray. Pray, go for a walk. Treat it as an imaginary exercise. If you've got someone on the other side, as an imaginary exercise. What it would be like to talk to them if all they said to me was the most loving shit? What would it be like? What would they say? And have that dialogue. For all intents and purposes, that's probably all that's happening when you do that. But what if it's not? Because your nervous system can't tell the difference. Your subconscious mind can't tell the difference. So it's real. That conversation is really happening. Even if it's just a simulacra, like it's happening. Love yourself, celebrate, get the bottle of wine. Yeah, so what do I have to celebrate? But you're celebrating you. Even if it's a small thing, your subconscious mind is like, oh, this person is worthy of being celebrated. And you make beauty from it. And as you grow and flourish and transform, you share it with the world. Thank you for being here. I know it's not easy being where you are right now. It's weird liminal space, right? But I love you. I love you because you exist, That's baseline. But also because you had the bravery to do this, to embark on this, to come down into this incarnation and be like, you know what? I'm up for this shit. I can do this. I want to do this. Everyone ends up in the lost land at some point. But not everyone can, master it. Not everyone can understand it and create from it and build from it. Confirmation fucking phone ringing. So anyway, this has been the first of a series of Lost Land transmissions. I need to get these out to you as soon as possible because time is of the essence right now. Things are going to shift for me very quickly. And I have this moment of limbo where all of these downloads I'm getting, all of these lessons, all of these discoveries, I can share them with you. So expect more as soon as possible. Yeah. As it is so beneath the black star, glory to the lost land. You are home.